Okay, no, but seriously, I'm here. This is the NASA space flight Earth Science branch. This is the GOES satellite. So what is going on here? I gotta look into this a little bit more. We have the satellite data, right, for the whole, and you can see here, South America, everything's chill. So, South America, right? Continuous data, no problem. No problem here. You just get the data. Those are clouds moving around. Just gone. Is what I mean. It's kind of weird. I think it's kind of weird. Why is that data missing? Between 4 and 5 UTC. What is UTC though? Universal Coordinated fucking big. Successor to Greenwich Mean Time. I remember Greenwich Mean Time. Coordinated Universal Time, abbreviated to UTC, is a time standard by which the world regulates clocks and time. It tracks Greenwich Mean Time, is within about 1 second of mean solar time at 0 longitude, and is not adjusted for daylight savings time. In some countries, mean solar time is official, but time signals for general use are based on UTC. Greenwich Mean Time is not a synonym for UTC and predates UTC by nearly 300 years. The first coordinated universal time was formally adopted on the 1st of January 1960. Okay, so it's recent. System has been adjusted several times, including a brief period where time coordination ratios signals broadcast both UTC and stepped atomic time before a new UTC was adopted in 1970 and implemented in 1972. This changed. Also adopted leap seconds. What? Leap second is a 1 second adjustment that is occasionally applies to civil time. Is this like a time travel? No way to choose. Excuse fixer to keep it close to the mean solar time at Greenwich, in spite of the Earth's rotation slowdown and irregularity. Current number of leap seconds, about once every 19 months. Always on June 30th or December 31st. That's crazy. What is going on there? Earth's rotational speed is very slowly decreasing because of tidal deceleration. Tidal forces between orbiting natural satellite and prime planet. Slow down. Man, rabbit holes on rabbit holes. Here's windy.com. Cloud. I don't see any sort of contrails in these models. Do you see contrail? Those are the models, and this is what I see. This is at least the reality as seen through this camera. You can see there's a lot more going on than what's just in the model. That's just the thing. It is just a model, and this is just an amazing. We gotta pause there for a second, because look at this angle right here. Can we zoom in? Look at that. It's like a Vesica Pisces, right? Right. That's obviously why this halo or sundog or whatever you want to call it is forming, is because of the other things in the air that are causing that refraction. Let's get in a little closer. You can see, though, that shape, it's just abnormal, you know? It's like my pattern recognition gets called in all of a sudden. And it's like, look at this point. It doesn't seem like something that would happen with natural fluid dynamics, considering everything else that you see going on here, right? And this X marks the spot. So, you know, you definitely have to be discerning when we're discussing this. You gotta take your best guess. What are we looking at here? This is obviously a contrail. This picture is nuts, right? You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'd say 7 at least. And there's the 8th being formed. And all in the same general direction, right? It's not something you see every day. Although it is very common to see the trails going in the same direction. If not crisscrossing, running, you know, almost parallel. Wide triangles. This, on the other hand, is a totally different creature. Right? This is, I mean, it's beautiful. Soft on the eyes. It's like a living, breathing, life-bringing. And this is, again, I mean, what's to say what is normal? This is normal. This is also normal. It's sort of much more patchwork, sort of layered. Maybe right angles where there aren't any, and that's where it is hard to. It's glitching out. What the fuck? It's hard to know based on your perspective what, you know, what is in the same layer, what is thousands of meters apart from each other in the sky, because it's impossible, you know, with our sort of level of depth perception, the way we see things, it's impossible to judge those kinds of distances and really know what you're looking at, especially when everything's the same color, right? It's all just white, fluffy things up there. This is a time lapse. Most of the day. So you notice how everything's going in the same direction, like the entire time, the whole day. Everything seems to be going in that same direction. And the trails follow. There's brief gaps. Different types of planes, non-trail leaving planes. But everything flowing in that same direction. But do you see how there's these water vapor clouds? They sort of appear out of nothing and then dissipate again, and they're constantly changing shape. But you see how some things don't seem to change shape at all. They're just floating by. And you will still to see patterns. You'll recognize false patterns. But maybe you'll recognize real patterns. Is that like a square? But when you scrub it, you do notice that sometimes retaining really complex patterns without getting interrupted, without changing shape, the whole, at least within this line of sight, with not changing in the smallest bit. And you would think, with all that wind going around there, with all those thousands and millions of air molecules flying in every which direction, that wouldn't really be possible for a large cloud to retain its shape as it travels across the sky. That's different. That's a trail. That's those you see produced. These sort of dragon emanating. Okay. Let's get to the main event. Check this formation out. This is still just sort of, I don't know what to make of this. And I didn't even get a full good documentation of what I was looking at, because it was insane to see this large thing travel across the sky, to see this unchanged just sort of make its journey, right? And at first, with all these images, it's always sort of like, yeah, what am I looking at? Maybe you're like reassociating this from something else. There's always like an out, basically, for any sort of crazy idea like this. And I definitely ran across this sort of concept, from somebody else's videos. I don't remember his name, but this was definitely his whole thesis, that there's things going on up in the sky, and that they're basically cloaked ships, and that they have like repeating sort of sizes and types, and you end up seeing the same things over and over and again. And I mean, this is just one of the standard sort of alien craft, is the triangle, right? And that's the classic Illuminati confirmed. And right, you see this very like pronounced, it's almost like a wing. But the crazy part was that this whole structure here with this wing, this whole attachment here, and even this, the most complex, you see how so delicate it is, how easy it would be, just for a little gust to change even the tiniest little, it's a cloud, like it's just vapor, right? How easy that would be for over the course of 10 minutes or something. You would think something would change. But no, this whole thing, this whole sort of like a lobster, I see this like arm here. It's like the lobster body, and then with some sort of this weird connection then over to the triangle. And right behind that, you see this cloud, which is this sort of like, you see how clear cut this is. It's kind of bizarre looking, how clean this line is. Right? And sort of that's the thing about these clouds. The more you look at them, the more you think, am I just going crazy? Am I just seeing this, or is this really like a very strange, abnormally shaped cloud? Because look at this. Look at the edges of this compared to the edges of this. Right? It just doesn't feel right. I don't know exactly. You can't put your finger on it. Probably wasn't such good tech, but you can still feel it, right? Still feel something's weird. Something is just strange about it. So let's go to the video. And then you can see the scale, the scope of it. Because where does that plane tie in to all of that? Right there, you see this? That's that same, I guess this is like flipped upside down. You see that same clear edge? It's almost like an eyeball opening up there. And this long, right? And it's really hard, this is just a camera. It's hard to get the scope, the feeling of this, that this sort of was like a big barrier. This was like the end of a big leading edge of some, giant massive cloud, basically. And then everything over here was covered. But then it stopped, like, very abruptly. And that there was nothing. There's nothing in this lower section. but it was connecting down to the structure that I'm talking about. The triangle connected to the lobster wheel. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, there you see lobster guy. I see his head. I see his head. And then it's this weird sort of arm thing. And the crazy thing is, it's like there's little indentations, there's little shadings. All of this was intact on its journey across the sky.